everyone. Welcome back to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. I'm Ruthie Polinsky alongside Alex Shapiro. We are here at Halas Hall, coming to you live. Probably not live. This is pre-taped. But we are coming to you semi-live from Halas Hall. Alex and I have been here for the first 2 days of practice of this Bears training camp in 2025, and we have a lot to get to. We weren't able to tape a podcast yesterday after yesterday's practice, trying to get into the rhythm here, but we figured it out for today. 𝗧𝗏𝗏 will be out here with me tomorrow. So we'll have lots of different perspectives and fun things to talk about each day. Hopefully we'll get this to you as much as we can over the course of the next 6 weeks, but leading up to week 1, which will be here before we know it. Let's get to some of the big storylines, Alex. Yesterday, by the way, little weather report for you. Yesterday, very hot, sunny, humid. Today, more humid, less hot. Is that fair to say?
Overcast. We didn't have the sun beating on us like we kind of do right now.
Yeah.
Very nice breeze.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
And the Bears have done a nice job. They put up a little shade awning for us over the bleachers. They had that last year. That was new. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So it's definitely like way nicer in that shade.
Thank you to the Bears equipment staff for all the hard work that they do getting ready for training camp. All right, Alex, let's get into it. I think probably one of the headlines. Let's do the like ticky-tacky stuff first that we can get it out of the way. Luther Burden III, right? Obviously not out here yesterday, which was a surprise, especially considering the time he missed in the spring and OTA's mini camp leading up to the summer break. Never believed that was anything serious when he was out during the spring.
Correct.
He was not placed on NFI or PUP, so we had the belief that he was going to be ready to go for the first day of practice. He was not out there. Ben Johnson clarified today. Seems to be there is still some lingering soft tissue issue. He labeled him as day-to-day. So that's good news.
That is good news. It was a surprise when we all got out there and we're like, oh, wait, where's 87? But yeah, as you said, Ben Johnson, it's the same soft tissue thing that was kind of bugging him before. After the long break, didn't clear up. He wasn't good to go. So we shall see. We have not seen Luther Burden on the practice field now since the last day of rookie minicamp was way back in early May. So it is now 2 months since we've seen Luther Burden practice.
Yeah, I think it's a little concerning if this is a pattern. It appears that he's just missed a lot of valuable time on the field. Even Ben Johnson said that. Like, obviously, he's been really involved in the classroom and in the meeting rooms, and he said Antoine Randall has been on him, making sure he's on his P's and Q's in any capacity he can be. But Ben even said today, like, nothing compares to the reps that you're getting on the field and the trust that you're building with your teammates and with your quarterback and with your coaches. So to me, Alex, it sounds like there's maybe just a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to learning how to take care of your body, how to fuel it, how to be a pro. Those are just some of the things that I think are part of just going from college into the bigs.
Absolutely. I think you're right on there. And, is it panic mode? No, I wouldn't say panic mode. But again, you can't, I guess, understate. It is valuable being out there, getting on the field with Caleb Williams, and you run a route, and you run what's on the paper. And then Caleb Williams says, oh, actually, I want you to, take that a little skinnier. Or cut it off right here on that stick route. Those are the little things when we talk about building a rapport, building chemistry between a wide receiver and a QB. That's what we're talking about. You have to be on the grass doing that stuff, taking the classroom onto the field, and then kind of being like, okay, this is how we actually want it done. Because there's running a route, and then there's like kind of running outside the lines, for lack of a better term.
Other news, just news and notes. 𝗍 Frazier, the rookie cornerback, who also we didn't get to see much of in the spring, that was injury related. Sounds like he's missed these first 2 days due to an excused personal matter. So that's not injury related. Check that off your list.
Correct. And then I guess just wrapping it up, the other guys returning from injury, the big names, Braxton Jones and Colson Loveland. We have seen them in individual drills, so they're doing that. They're out there. Braxton is running with the ones during individual drills. And Colson Loveland, we've seen him blocking. We've seen him running routes. We've seen him catching passes. But then when it comes time for the team stuff, they go off and they continue their rehab, so they're not doing team drills. So I guess that would make them limited participants.
Yeah, it's part of their ramp up, right? Which Ben told us there was going to be a little bit of a process when it comes to just making sure that these guys are ready to go for full contact when that time comes. They haven't played football in a long time. So it's all positive there. I imagine we'll see them full go before the pads come on. So I think that's something we'll keep our eye on over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you don't want to see these guys taking steps back and see their participation go backwards. Obviously, you want to see it go forwards. And yes, this is all part of a ramp-up plan.
All right, so let's get into the mushy-gushy stuff. Obviously, the big storyline, the headline out of the first day of camp was Ben Johnson yanking his first-team offense off the field and telling them to get out of there. I'm putting the twos in. You guys are wasting our time, which is basically what he told us today. He downplayed it a bit, but he did say, like, we were taking too long, and I wanted to make sure the other guys had time. Our time is so limited out there on the field. They only got 90 minutes the first day. They got 105 minutes today. So those are just sort of some of the rules and regulations of training camp, the ramp-up period that the whole league goes through. And he wants to make sure the twos are getting their reps, too.
Right, exactly. I think he took umbrage with people saying they got kicked out of practice or something like that. They weren't, but it was just like, all right, you're done.
They were kicked out of the play, though.
Yeah, exactly. They were taken off the field. So it was just like, you're done. You couldn't get it done because you couldn't get out of the huddle, or, you know, they had issues getting in and out of the huddle. So then it was twos time.
Yeah, and the one part of that story, when we spoke to 𝗁cie𝗰𝗶𝗹 yesterday after that happened, that I feel like isn't maybe getting enough attention was that when someone asked 𝗁cie𝗰𝗶𝗹, hey, was that just part of, early install sloppiness? Is that kind of what this is? He said, no, that's stuff we should know.
Right.
So to me, it sounded like when we heard from Ben Johnson, putting context clues together, they couldn't get the play call in. Like, they couldn't figure out how to line up correctly. That's just from what I gathered to kind of visualize this for our listeners and our viewers. Caleb came to the line. They were in the huddle.
Yeah.
They went to the line. Something didn't look right. Caleb's looking around. He calls everyone back in, and Ben says, get out.
Right.
So there was some miscommunication, some lack of confidence with the operation there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a pre-snap operation thing, which is what we've been hearing about this whole time, right? When we talk about the Bears building this offense and learning this offense, like they're still at square zero, maybe square one. So again, is it time to panic? No. They are learning a new offense. There's a lot. They're figuring out how Ben Johnson wants things done. And they're not walking by mistakes. That's something DeAndre Swift talked about today. And is like, listen, where we want to go, we are not going to get there if we just blow past these things and put them by the wayside and say, oh, we'll fix it later. So they're calling it out now, which, again, that's a good thing. And they are simply still working on the operation. They are still working on the pre-snap, whether it is the play call, getting that in quickly and recited properly, whether it is the cadence, whether it's getting lined up. They're still having issues getting to the snap portion of the play, and that's been consistent over the first 2 days, but it's the first 2 days. It's July. We're not panicking yet, but yeah, they got to figure it out.
Unfortunately, that was also an issue last year during training camp, so let's hope those are two separate and not connected. I also think it's important to just sort of, we talk about them being at square zero. I don't know what I was expecting to see. I thought it would look better than it's looked in the first 2 days. And I think that's probably how the Bears feel, too, when they watch. But at the same time, again, day two, it's hard to know really how much new is getting introduced, how much are they carrying over from the spring, are they trying new things still? I think that's all probably a part of it. What's been your takeaway from just a lot of balls on the ground, I think is probably the way I would describe this, whether it be drops, incomplete passes, fumbles, all of the above.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no two ways around it. It has not looked good, right? You talk about the pre-snap issues and getting to the line and then having to rehuddle and the operational issues that we've seen that have persisted, even though it's only been 2 days. And there still hasn't been a deep completion, really.
𝗵𝗵 Richardson to Tyson Bagent to 𝗵𝗵 Richardson day one. That was the catch of the day.
He had another good catch today, actually. 𝗵𝗵 Richardson might be our training camp dude, 26.
Clay Harbor called it. That was his crush from OTAs.
Absolutely.
We'll give him the credit.
And I do think it was a little bit better today, day two, than it was day one. Because day one, you had the interception. You had, I think, more balls hitting the ground. Today, it was a lot of checkdowns. 7-on-7s, I thought, looked better. There were completed passes on 7-on-7s. So there were the checkdowns. There still hasn't been the chunk play, but I think there have been better catches. There was one bad snap. Now I'm thinking more about it. There were still hiccups, right? There was the snap that went over Caleb Williams' head. There was Caleb Williams falling on the ground, tripping over somebody's feet. There was a screenplay where he had to dirt the ball, seemingly. So I do think it got marginally better. I think it got marginally better day 2, but there's no two ways around it. It's been clunky.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to. We thought we were maybe going to hear from DJ Moore today. We'll probably hear from him tomorrow, I would imagine. But
yeah.
I'm just curious to hear how he sees a difference in the operation, if he does see a difference in the operation so far, because whether it's a new offense or not, those are the basics of just, kind of having command of the huddle and being a quarterback in the NFL. And are you getting the play calls in? And, are you repeating them correctly? Are you getting guys lined up in the right spots? Are you reading the defense as well? DJ Moore will have a really good perspective to be able to compare and contrast last year to this year. But those are the moments in the huddle that we don't get a front row seat to.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Now, we will be able to tell if next Thursday, a week from today, they are still having to get back in the huddle without getting the snap off. If they are still having these pre-snap issues where the motion is wrong or the alignment is wrong or they can't get the play in, that's when we start to be like, all right, guys,
what's going on?
What's going on? It's been several days here. So first 2 days, we expected mistakes.
Yeah.
And we're going to expect mistakes throughout the year, right? Every guy has mentioned that, and you hear every football player every year, every training camp saying, growth is like this. It's a roller coaster. It's not a straight line. They've happened to kind of start on a down note, but you do want to start seeing some ups. You don't want to see them making the same mistakes, having to redo everything over and over and over and over again.
I do think we should switch this to the positives because the defense is playing well, right?
Yes.
And it would be an issue if the offense was just chugging down the field, no issues, and the defense wasn't able to stop them. So I think we should give the defense a little credit. The defense always starts ahead of the offense.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, especially with Dennis Allen coming in, former head coach, installed early probably. He had this thing cooking, so he knew how to get this thing rolling, and also a lot of veterans.
Yeah.
He has his system. Ben Johnson's designing a new playbook.
Right.
Dennis Allen's got his playbook ready to go.
Exactly.
So I think there's an element of just, they are starting ahead of schedule, which is cool to see. We talked to Kevin Byard today. We talked to TJ Edwards yesterday. The Dennis Allen aspect of this defense is so interesting to me, and getting to hear from him yesterday, he reminds me of Ben Johnson in a very different way. They're both incredibly intense.
Yeah.
When they speak, you want to make sure you don't miss a word.
Yep.
And yet one seems very sort of hard-nosed football coach, sort of old school.
Yep.
And one's like new age, intense, excited, energetic, the Ben Johnson style. But they both sort of share this characteristic of intensity, and that's the buzzword of this training camp, this offseason, and this coaching staff. And I love the Updowns because that really sort of symbolizes what this team is trying to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about the weather. It's hot, it's humid, and Kevin Byard told us today it was 40 Updowns.
A lot.
That's a lot. Okay, if you're not familiar, it's like
a burpee.
Back
it's
up.
Like a burpee.
It's a burpee. Doing 40 of those in this heat, not easy, right? Both Kevin Byard and TJ Edwards were like, this is like high school stuff, taking us way back. But the point Dennis Allen's trying to make is you've got to pay the toll. Everything is going to be earned. If you want to play on this defense, you've got to put the work in, and it's everybody.
Yeah.
Andrew Billings, Big Bill, who was a big boy.
They watched it. They watched on tape so everyone could see Big Bill doing the Updowns. And God bless him. Kevin Byard told us today they watched it, I guess probably as a defense or maybe as a meeting room, and they were watching Big Bill, who was having some troubles after number 20. It sounded like, but how much does he weigh? 350 pounds or 300 pounds? That's a lot of man. That's a lot of man.
But he's got to do them, just like _Speed and just like Tyree Stevenson, to the point where Alex Cook, who is released and then re-signed and is maybe away from this team for 36 hours. Part of those 36 hours that he missed the Updowns. So what happens today? They all circle around him and say, you got to do your Updowns today, Alex.
So it's an initiation is how Kevin Byard described it. And I think that really speaks to, like you said, nothing is given, everything is earned. And I think it's also something from Dennis Allen to say, you're going to have to push through mentally and physically every single training camp practice. This is just the beginning when everything's rainbows and sunshine. There are going to be some dark days of training camp. He said this is a long dark tunnel with no light at the end of it. You got to just focus on the process, go day by day, and I think that's really what this energy and this team is feeding off of, the intensity that both their defensive coordinator and their offensive play caller, who happens to be their head coach, they both embody that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to talk about a few guys specifically, I think the linebackers have actually played really well. We don't spend a lot of time talking about the linebackers because they're kind of known commodities. It was a bit of a question mark heading into this year, though. What's going to happen with Tremaine Edmonds? What's going to happen with TJ Edwards? Are they going to switch positions? And they kind of have, right? Dennis Allen says they're cross-training guys. Both guys have looked really good. Tremaine Edmonds obviously had the interception to start things off. TJ Edwards is blowing up run plays like he always does. And another guy, the rookie, Ruben Hyppolite, the guy where we were all scratching our heads go, who is this that you drafted in the 4th round? To me, I think he actually has looked really, really good. He had a PBU in pass coverage earlier. He's showing off his speed, the instincts, everything that the Bears told us about when they drafted him. I think it's been evident with Ruben Hyppolite. So those 3 linebackers, like, wait, we focus on the cornerbacks. We focus on the defensive line. That linebacking trio could be really good.
Speaking of rookies, I want to we'll go back to the offensive side of the ball here for a second, but Kyle Monangai has really impressed us early on in this one. He had a nice run today. He juked out a defender. He's showing off his speed, his agility, his quickness, and he's catching passes out of the backfield. And I think hearing from DeAndre Swift talk about him today, say, man, he's just been such a great addition to this room. I have nothing negative to say about him.
Yeah.
He's really confident in the way that he plays, and I think there's a lot of excitement and energy around Kyle Monangai and what he can mean for this team. Is he competing for RB2?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially.
No, yeah, he showed off that burst. Now, he has been working as RB3. Roschon Johnson has been the RB2. But today, day 2, Kyle Monangai, who's turning a few heads, what does he do? He has gotten a little bit of tick with the ones. And that is something that the coaches have told us not to overreact about.
Yeah.
Here I am overreacting about it. But I think it is worth noting that as the coaches determine, okay, who are the guys we want to throw in with the ones to see how they look, early on, Kyle Monangai has been one of those guys that they've said, all right, let's see how you look with the ones, kid.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I think, obviously, there's a lot of people rooting for Roschon Johnson. And listen, this could all be washed when they put the pads on, right? Like, we could change everything. And I think Ben Johnson reminded us that today. Like, it's really hard to evaluate those guys without the pads on. And I think Roschon Johnson is someone that really thrives when the pads come on. And I think Kyle Monangai may be the same, which is really exciting. I also don't want anyone to forget about Ian Wheeler. I know I always bring him up, but he was the darling of Hard Knocks last year before he tore his ACL. He's coming off that injury. And he showed off his wheels today. I'll tell you what, he's got some speed, and he also has some versatility. They were using him in the return game a bit today as well. So I think he's making a case for himself for himself to be on this team and have a roster spot, especially if he can contribute on special teams.
Absolutely. It's going to come down to that special teams portion. We know he's fast. We've seen he's fast. He could probably work on the hands a little bit in terms of the pass catching, which is an important aspect if you want to be like a third down guy. I don't remember his pass pro from last year, and, you know, without the pads on, the pass pro is hard to evaluate. But yes, if he can be a valuable member of that special teams core, we know Travis Homer is a valuable member of that special teams core. That's why Travis Homer is stuck around.
Yeah.
That's going to be Ian Wheeler's key to make the roster this year.
Yeah. We're just doing these mini pods here, and I think we kind of hit on a lot of the big stuff, Alex. I'm looking forward to getting Clay out here and hearing what his thoughts are, and he gets to stand with me and identify defenses and walk me through, you know, pad leverage and things that, you know, I'm not always keen to. So I'm looking forward to Clay getting out here, and we'll just sort of try to recap as much as we can over the course of the next 6 weeks. We've got a long road ahead of us, but it's exciting.
The long, dark tunnel. We are in the middle of the long, dark tunnel.
We have a light at the end of it, though.
It's true, and we're going to try to provide as much light for you as we possibly can.
That was lovely. And with that, we will end this edition. It's like we're sending them off to bed. Sweet dreams, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. Alex Shapiro, I'm Ruthie Polinsky. We'll see you later this week.